All right. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. As you can see, I'm still reporting or coming at you guys from vacation, but you know what? Going to make the best of it. I do have a little bit shorter battery life today than I anticipated just because I didn't fully charge it, or at least it didn't fully charge. So I'm going to go as long as the battery allows today, but probably about a half hour or so. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. As most of you can see from the thumbnail, we're going to kind of go into a little bit of a debate about Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I know a lot of you guys have been mentioning it for a few days now. Why haven't we resigned St. Brown? What's up with Goff? Are they going to do this or that? And I just kind of thought, it might be worthwhile for us to have an interactive chat. There's no real big breaking news that happened overnight. And I was going to say this to you guys. We went on about Cam Sutton yesterday, middle of the day, and then just a couple hours later, we got information from the Detroit Lions front office, Rod Wood, president of the Detroit Lions, that Cam Sutton allegedly was in their buildings when the news broke. I just thought it was kind of odd that they didn't address that in their initial statements. About 5 or 6 days prior. That seemed a little odd to me, but it is what it is. Maybe they just didn't want to address it. Maybe they didn't want to go through any potential legalities of it. Or maybe they just wanted to double check all their facts. I'll leave that for another show to debate. But today with it, we're going to talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown. We're going to talk about Jared Goff, and we're going to say, hey, what's really do the Lions have a plan to potentially move on from these guys? You've heard me talk about it for weeks now. I really don't believe they're going to move on from either one of them. I do believe both of them are going to be Detroit Lions for a long time to come. But could the debate be had where potentially one of them or both of them are not Detroit Lions? Are there any real good reasons as to why to move on from them? That's where I think we can have an interactive chat. Also, one last thing before we get going to the meat of the show. In case you're unaware, outside of being a YouTuber and a coach, I have been a realtor for a really long time. So if you're looking to buy or sell property, we're in the great state of Michigan. You see my number on the screen. Give me a call. Shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. Feel free to reach on out to me. Let's see what we can do to potentially save you a little bit of money on either the purchase or sale of property anywhere in the state of Michigan. If you're outside of that state, you want to still contact me. I can try to help you out as best I can. All right, enough of the jibber jabber. Let's go ahead and get over to you guys. And yes, we are starting just a couple minutes early. I wanted to try to get going before too many people get wake and moving around throughout the ship. And I also do get that at times, like yesterday when we did the mock draft, the feed may freeze up. It's beyond my control. I'm doing the best I can with what we have to work with here. So apologies in advance if something should happen. All right, JDC, good morning all. Good morning to you too. Hopefully having a great one, my friend. Joseph, good morning, coach and do crew, exclamation points. Heck yeah, surely they will pay Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's what I would think, man. Now the question is going to come down to how much is he going to command? How much is he going to get paid? I know the reports are anywhere out there from $23 million a season to potentially $30 million a season. My anticipation is it's probably going to be closer to $25-26 million a season. And I guess that would come down to, depending on your opinion, is he worth it? Are the Lions in a good spot to go for it, retain him, or should they look to go in other directions? And that's why I'm not going to take a side on this. I'm just going to say, hey, in my opinion, he's worth it. He is Captain Lion. He is Mr. Detroit, whatever you want to say. He's proven himself not just from a on the field performance level, but off the field as well. What he does on both sides of the ball, just it stands out. He is the epitome of a Detroit Lion. He has the grit. He's got the chip on his shoulder. So what he does in the public persona, as well as what he does on the field, what he does as a teammate, I'm just not sure if you can put a real big price on that. So with all that being said, I'm going to guess, I'm with you, Joseph, that, yeah, St. Brown's going to be a Lion for a long time to come. I think with Jared Goff, that's the other debate. There are so many different scenarios that can come forth with him. Do we go potentially to Hendon Hooker at some point? Do we extend Goff for 5 years? Do we just play him out for the rest of this year with this contract and then potentially franchise him for another season or two? boy, I guess if you move on from Goff, that's got to tell you that the Lions front office and coaching staff really just feels Hendon Hooker is the guy. And I'm not saying he is because I haven't seen him play at this level. So until then, I think I'm going to have to wait for at least my opinion. But let's see what you guys have to say on it. All right, let me get it on the screen here. Again, I don't have a mouse, so sorry if it's a little wonky when I go through the comments. All right, Moonscar, what do you got? Good morning, Captain, and do cruise ship passengers, 100%. And you know what? Thankfully, none of the passengers so far when I've done the show have really kind of interacted or done anything. So, hey, so far the voyage is going well, my friend. Very well. Quentin, what do you got here? Greetings and salutation, y'all. What's good? All sorry for your loss, coach. Feeling for you. Thanks for that, man. We have a little bit of a thing for my sister yesterday, and yeah, it was just Jen and I, and we hit one of the ports that we're hitting, and so got a little emotional. But what do you expect? I mean, it's one of your siblings, one of your big sisters. It's gonna happen, man. But thank you all the same. All right, Quentin, what do you got? And I say we keep St. Brown. I don't know about Goff. Need to see Hendon first. Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm leaning towards, hey, you guys have heard me talk about it. I really do believe Jared Goff is going to be the quarterback of this team for, the foreseeable future, whether that's, 3 to 5 years. I guess we'll have to wait and see as things reveal themselves. But I will also say this. Hendon Hooker is going to probably raise a lot of eyebrows. He's going to probably be the great mystery. Most of us know that the most popular person on any NFL team is the backup quarterback. And really, that's what Hendon Hooker is at this point. He's the great mystery. He's the unknown quantity. How good is he? We all think he can be this or that, but he also hasn't had an opportunity to show any of his strengths nor weaknesses yet. So my guess is we're going to be waiting throughout the preseason to see what he actually is. And then even when you see him in the preseason, you're going to have to see what he does in regular season, live action, before you make firm judgments on him. So wait and see how it all plays out. All right, Joseph, let's see. Some people, they have to pay teams, have to pay when they embody the whole town and the team. Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about like St. Brown, especially Goff. I think obviously Goff in the playoffs last year endeared himself to not just everybody in our fan base, but you look around the states, maybe you could even say across the planet. You had at high school games people chanting out Jared Goff. College games, obviously for Detroit Lions games they were doing it because that makes sense since he's our quarterback. But both of these guys, to your point, Joseph, have really just become the faces of the franchise. And they embody so much of what this coaching staff and front office wants out of players. I think it's going to be real hard to move on off of either one of them. All right, Robert Green, salutations back at you. Hopefully I'm the great one, my friend. All right, scrolling down the comments. And again, I don't have a mouse, so it takes a little bit longer. Detroit North, Green, salutations. Pay St. Brown, pay Goff on a discount. And here's my question for you, North. If either one of them were to take a discount, what would be an acceptable discount? I know there's been reports Goff could get 50, could get 45, could get 40. My anticipation for Goff, if he is going to sign a 3 to 4 year deal, I think I probably want to get him as close to 40 as possible. And I get 40 isn't even top of the league anymore. And every year that passes by, it's going to be less and less. St. Brown, I think I probably want to keep them as close to 25 a year as possible. They're both worth their whatever paychecks they get. I think most of us would agree with that. Although I do get there are going to be people who are going to, without question, say, hey, Hendon Hooker, he's the future of the franchise. I'm not here to say that because I haven't seen him play. And until you really see him play, I mean, at this level, not in college, I just don't really want to throw too much praise his way until we get a better idea of what he can be. All right. Exclamation points. How are you feeling this morning? I'm feeling great, man. I mean, yesterday, hey, it is what it is, man. A little emotional for sure. It's gonna be more emotional probably when we get back to Michigan and get with my, mom and family and everything. So, it is what it is, man. But hey, it's good to kind of release some of that. So thanks for that, though. JDC, happy hangover, coach. Well, I'll say this, man. For someone who doesn't really drink, I had one for the I guess you'd say little ceremony we did, and yeah, I forgot what it was like to have a beverage, I guess you could say, and yeah, it's felt fine for a while, but yeah, it does affect you differently, and probably won't be having another one for another hopefully a couple years. Yeah, just not my thing, and yeah, that it was interesting. We'll put it that way, man. But thank you. All right, Moonscar. I think Holmes knows that the big men clear space for the little guys to make plays. So there is only so much room under the cap to hand out 20 million plus salaries. But St. Brown is our heart and a soul. I agree with you on that, Moonscar. St. Brown really is kind of he is what this franchise wants a Lion to be. I mean, he's well spoken. He's not a problem off the field. He's on the field. He's you couldn't ask for much more production from him. I mean, he gives you everything, like you said, his heart and soul, and the fact that the contract hasn't been signed yet for him. I'm not too worried about it. I know a number of you guys have brought it up over time, and I'm just going to say I think it's going to get handled for St. Brown probably closer to June or July. I mean, who knows, man? Maybe it happens tomorrow morning or something. But I think we all get the gist. Somewhere before the start of the season, St. Brown is my anticipation that he'll be re-signed. The purpose of today's video, a number of you guys have brought it up over and over. Is it possible St. Brown could not return? It's possible, sure. Could they go in a different direction? Absolutely. If the Lions draft a receiver in the first round, maybe that reveals that they're considering going in a different direction. I'm just going to say this in my opinion. St. Brown's going to be a Lion probably for the foreseeable future, whether that's 2, 3, 4, 5 years, who knows. But I'm going to say probably more likely to 4 to 5 years than it is 1 or 2. And as far as Goff, man, yeah, it's an unfortunate part of his situation. Every team, well, I shouldn't say every team, but the vast majority of teams, unless they feel like you are just, one of the elite quarterbacks, they're probably always looking for a way to get somebody who's nearly your equal, but a whole lot cheaper discount with a rookie contract. You just see that across the league now throughout most teams. Goff, I think his value in Detroit is higher than potentially anywhere else in the league. So with that also being said, he's got to be aware of that. Now, whether or not his agent and his representation are, I mean, they probably are, but they're still going to push for him to get elite money because he has put up great stats during his time in Detroit. Minus, I guess you could say, the first 8 or so games his first year here. All right, Lions fan number 1. Good morning, all. Crazy stuff with Cam. Feeling more and more like there's more to this than we all know. I agree with that. 100%. I shot Micah a text yesterday right before going on the air. Unfortunately, the voice text probably didn't do such a great job, and it was maybe I'll say about 2 hours or so before the news. Maybe it was 3 hours, whatever it was. A limited amount of time before the news came out that Wood had spoken to Cam Sutton in Detroit, where he was at the workout facilities or whatever. And a friend of mine from Detroit media sent me a text, and he said basically this was murdering Cam's career, and it didn't quite come through on the text as that. So I thought he was trying to reveal a breaking news story, and talked to Mike about it. And I was like, hey, have you heard anything about this? You want to go on the air? And yeah, thankfully we didn't, because what was relayed to me wasn't exactly quite right. But I get, sometimes you do voice to text and everything. Things don't always translate the greatest. But it is crazy what's happened to Cam Sutton. And again, at least now we know he's been seen in the last week. But again, I don't really want to address it because I don't think there's any more news. I'm just hoping at this point that he's okay, the alleged victim's okay, all involved are okay. So hopefully they can right their ship and move on with their lives. All right, Chad, as a business, you have to let Goff play out his contract and at the least see what you have in Hooker. I'll go with that, man. You'd be a moron to commit $45 million without doing that. No, I agree with you, Chad. I think there's a real opportunity for the Lions to kind of deep dive into Hendon Hooker, see what they have. There's, you know, it's just my opinion. It sounds like, it's kind of yours, Chad. Hooker could be something. We've heard some players talk about him. I'll also say this: I try to take teammates at as a grain of salt, because if you're out there talking trash about one of your own players, then you're not a great team. So when we get to OTAs and he's out there, when we get to preseason stuff and he's out there, and now you get the preseason games, if he starts really looking like something, then that's probably something Brad Holmes really has to, and the coaching staff really have to sit down and talk about. Because to your point, if you commit the money now prior to really getting that deep dive into Hendon Hooker, what do you do unless it's a voidable contract? What do you do unless it's not guaranteed funds? And I'm going to say Jared Goff's probably not signing a contract with this team or any team if he's not getting some money guaranteed up front. How much of that? Leave that to his agency to figure out. But yeah, I think they're going to do their due diligence. They're going to dive into it, and they're going to see what they have in Hendon Hooker before they probably make a move to long-term sign Jared Goff. If Jared Goff comes out and he just signs it now, you're stuck in a bad spot, as you're kind of alluding to. If you have Hendon Hooker go out there and he's just guns blazing all over the place, shaking and baking, running past people, running over people, and throwing it 90 yards downfield to Jameson Williams or whatever it is, you're in a bad spot if you've already committed to Goff. All right, because it would kill trade value too, because everybody would be aware Goff is signed long term, and you just got to take what you can get for Hendon Hooker at that point. Sort of like the Bears did with Justin Fields. All right, Joseph, what do you got? Yeah, God forbid, but I think something has happened to him. I think you're talking about Sutton, and yeah, I would agree. I hope he's okay. I do feel a little bit better that it's only been about 5 or so days since he's last been seen. But you do have to start to wonder about things, especially with the story that came out yesterday about his college career and that he's had some blackouts then and there. Just thoughts and prayers with him and his family. All right, JDC, we got pay him, play him. The rest will be history. Yeah, you could go that route too. Just pay them both and let everything shake out. It would be interesting though if, as you say, if they just paid Jared Goff, they re-sign him. How long is that contract? How much do you invest? What's voidable year? What this year, that year, whatever year in the contract, because that will reveal a lot about their probably long-term plans for the quarterback position in Detroit. All right, Bo, what do you got? Good morning, Duke Crew. Superdome or bust! Exclamation point. At this point, I have no idea what they are going to do, and maybe that's the way the Lions want it to be. Maybe they just want everybody to feel like, hey, this is what we're going to do, but really we're going to do this. It's kind of the same approach they're using for the draft, right, Bo? There's a lot of different ways we can go with the draft, and there are a lot of different ways we can go with these two players. Just my personal belief, as I've said for about a week or so now, I don't foresee any chance St. Brown is a Detroit Lion for a long time to come. Jared Goff, I think, is a little bit more of the question mark to me. I think he's done nothing but great things here in Detroit. I think he's just helped this franchise beyond doubts, taking us places we could only dream about a year ago. And the downside is it's also a business. Players at some point, every player, unless they retire on their own accord, every player will be moved on from by every NFL team, every NBA team, etc. The problem is we just all are assuming Hendon Hooker could be something special. And maybe he is. There's a reason why they went out and got him, right? I think most people, when the Lions selected him, said, yeah, that made sense. Yeah, Hooker is being overlooked because of the injuries, or the injury, not injuries. But we all get it, man. He's got a lot of promise and a potential. And if you do go to him versus Goff, you're saving a boatload of money for a few seasons. And that money, you could pass on to so many different players on this team that you could really help retain this team for a long time to come, or at least several seasons to come. So we'll see what shakes out, man. All right, Man Bear, good morning, crew. Back at you. Hopefully having a great one, Man Bear. Again, sorry I can't talk the loudest as I normally do because, I am on a boat and, I'm trying not to disturb people. Joseph, go Lions. Woo! The first woo of the show, 100%. All right, David, to pay St. Brown, quarterback is only as good as the players around him. I would agree with that, David. Especially we've talked about it with Goff. He's had a lot of weapons and a lot of parts around him during his time in Detroit, and I don't see that changing anytime soon, whether it's him or whoever is the quarterback under center for the Lions. But if you don't have parts around him, then no quarterback is probably going to look that great. There may be a few exceptions where they can elevate average players around. You could say Tom Brady to a degree, maybe Patrick Mahomes. And I think most of us would agree Jared Goff just isn't that level of guy. He's pretty good. He may not just be that guy. Manberry, PS, and needs to get extended as well. Yeah, Panay, yeah, I have no doubt that will happen. You're not going to let somebody like him walk away because he is elite. But my guess is, that might not happen until next season. We'll see, though. All right, Chan, it could go either way with St. Brown, but whatever happens with that, I trust Brad has a plan. Maybe trades him for a first, but I highly doubt that. LOL. Man, could we trade St. Brown? And could you get a first for him? I would think that, I would think that we wouldn't trade him, but who knows, man? Maybe if the value's there, according to Brad Holmes, that'd be a real head scratcher. But if he goes out there and just gets a receiver that, grows and replaces St. Brown, then everybody's going to say, man, what a great move. He saved all that money. I'm just not sure that that would happen, but who knows, man? Somebody makes an offer you can't refuse. Maybe Brad Holmes does look at it. Well, I thought about Rod Wood's reaction in his interview. Can't help but think of how he handled Megatron. Very fishy. Could be, yeah, and there's probably some strong correlations there. Boy, I hope whatever they do, they do right by the players, and not have another Megatron moment. Jason, we got Superdome or bust. 100%. Duke Crew is behind you all the time, and hopefully had a great time skiing and having a little fun, man. I'm suspecting you probably are. All right, Robert G. Good morning, Dan and crew. 100% back at you, and hopefully you are doing well, sir. All right, pay them. Yeah, I'm thinking we will, but I've been wrong before. Nothing against Brad Holmes, but hey, he keeps his cards pretty close to the vest. He doesn't want everybody to know what he's doing, and I'm going to anticipate St. Brown would be the first signing. Goff would be second, and at least my opinion, Goff will be signed after seeing Hendon Hooker in preseason football. All right, Jason again. Let's see. Is anyone as excited as I am to see Hooker throw the ball in preseason? I got to imagine whether you're a Goff fan or not, everybody's pretty excited to see what Hendon Hooker can be. Can he be this guy that some of us think he can be, which is just off the charts good? We all know in college, his last couple seasons, he looked pretty dang good. It's unfortunate about the ACL injury, but it also might have benefited us because there's probably little chance we would have been able to draft him if he would have stayed healthy, because he may have been an end of the first round draft pick, if not a second round pick. So his misfortune may have been our fortune. And I think most Lions fans, Jason, are looking forward to seeing him throw the ball deep. I get we all have, expectations that he can throw it in a manner deep down the sideline with that arm of his, like very few quarterbacks in the league can, which would obviously open up a lot of things across the board the more the quarterback can do that. And Goff, he doesn't have a bad arm. It's just he isn't that level arm. He does some real good stuff, though, so we should not discredit Jared Goff. Or at least I shouldn't. How about that? All right, Dennis, good morning, fam. Back at you, Dennis. Hopefully I'm having a great one. All right, Robert, very sorry for loss, Coach. Thanks for that, man. And, yeah, I get yesterday was a tough one. And like I said, man, when we get back Thursday, it's going to be even a little bit tougher. And I see the sun is coming out right behind me. So sorry about that, guys, on the screen. Not a whole lot I think I can do about it, so apologies. All right, Dennis, yes, and thanks for that, guys. Thanks for that. All right, JC, Motor City Duke Crew, 100% always. All right, Jason, what do you got here? St. Brown is a class act, incredibly dedicated and disciplined athlete, and adds so much to this team. Grit, exclamation point. Yeah, and that's why I really don't think there's going to be an opportunity for them, or I shouldn't say opportunity, but a desire for them to move on from him. St. Brown, that is, just because he is so much of what you look for in a player. He's so much what this organization is now built behind and modeled themselves after. I just don't see it happening, but we've all been caught off guard by things before. All right, but yeah, St. Brown he's one of the guys I would say, man, I couldn't see him ever not being a Lion. All right, Miles, what do you got? Good morning. So he wasn't missing for 2 weeks after all. He just headed north and stayed under the radar until the police could legally contact his employer once warrant was issued. What a mess. Yeah, and now the question is, where's he been since then? And who knows? I mean, there just seems to be, Miles, so many layers developing with this story, and there's probably going to be more over time. So I just say the only thing I can say about this at this point is I just hope all involved and affected by it end up being okay. But my guess is there's going to be more news over time with this as it reveals itself. All right, Lions fan number one. I'm all for moving on to other players if the coaches feel that's the best move. I'll go with that, man. I'm not a fan of moving on if it's just to save a few bucks. And I think that's where the great debate is. Are you going to really be able to get, if you trade St. Brown or just sign somebody else, are you going to be able to get somebody of his level at his price tag or cheaper? And that's, I think, the big debate there. And as far as Goff, same thing. I think we're all, if you do go with the route of Hendon Hooker, we're hoping he can be as good as Goff, if not better, and obviously at a lesser cost. But will he be? You're going to have to, if the front office really does move on from these guys, and I'm going to guess they're going to include the coaches in any kind of decision making on this. If not, I think that would be a big surprise. But I think it's a bit of a gamble to say that you can get better than either one of these guys on a cheaper contract at this point. But see what they do. All right, Rob, let's see. A little history of Mountain Dew from 1966 to 1969. Look up Willie the Hillbilly. Yeah, I get you there. Some of the original artwork for Mountain Dew. Yeah, and how it was kind of developed and came to be. I get you there, man. Yeah, man, you just brought back some memories of that. All right, let's see what we got. Five Fingers Freddy. Good morning, all. Coach, I just want to say thank you for all you do for us. We know you're dealing with, thanks, man, a painful time for you and on vacation, yet you still do the show. Thanks for that. I look forward to this. And I do too, guys. And yeah, it's, you guys now know and everything. It's been a stretch and everything. And not just with my sister, but I think I told you guys, one of the dearest coaches in my life, Coach Ron Welch. I also found out, like, literally within an hour of finding out about my sister, found out he had a massive stroke. Yeah, and he's like my other dad. So it's been a go this week. But I will say this for the show and the Dew crew. I really look forward to the show. I look forward to talking to you guys. I love being a journalist, and you know what, this helps me out. Just doing things that are more familiar. You know, just staying kind of my norm. So thank you all for tuning in and being a part of the Dew crew and being a part of this every morning. Short morning. Yeah. I knew where you were going with that, man. So thanks for that, man. Plus I can see it on the screen, right? Bo, when someone in charge of money tells you money is not on his mind, then you know money's on his mind. Yeah. And I'll go with that 100%. A lot of people say it's not a contributing factor, but then when you throw out a contract offer or whatever, and it doesn't meet their expectations, it becomes that factor, and it becomes kind of clear at that point. So I get what you're saying, man. Mike the Marine, howdy, vacation dude, Dan, just take a day off. I might do that Thursday, just because when we dock here, I think it's going to be like 8:00, and then we've got to get, off the ship and then right over to the airport to catch our flight. If I'm on Thursday, which right now I am anticipating being on Thursday, it's probably just going to be a shorter show, half hour, 45 minutes. Just because I know we'll have to get all packed up and ready to go. But Mike, yeah, I enjoy this, man. So even on vacation, I want to do this. All right, Drake, what do you got? Greetings, salutations. All Goff and St. Brown are going where I feel. Yeah, I would say most fans would feel that way. Again, purpose of today's thumbnail and topics is just a number of you have brought it up over the last week or so. Could the Lions move on from these guys? Is there a case in point, and is there really a benefit to moving on from St. Brown and Goff? It would be my anticipation the reasons for moving on would just be to save costs or money, and then spread that across somewhere else. At some point, though, Lions, we've got a bit of cap space still available. Could we just simply say, hey, it's unavoidable if you're going to have good talent, unless you're just going to continue to always draft 3 or 4 guys that are coming and start. At some point, you got to make a choice though and say, hey, some talent's going to get paid. Maybe not everybody, but some are going to get paid. Are these the guys we want to pay? All right, let's see. Robert, obviously, he had the chance to turn himself in and chose to go off the grid. He could still turn himself in and lawyer up and get his life back on track. I'm surprised he hasn't. I'm surprised not only his lawyers, if he has more than one, and his agent, plus family, friends, and everything, haven't talked to him and just said, "Hey, it's time to bring this thing to rest. It's time to move on and be done with it." But for whatever reason, at least as of right now, he hasn't chosen to do that. So it is what it is, man. Hopefully, he and the victim or alleged victim are okay. Moonscar, what do you got? Holmes is keeping the right balance of when contracts expire and when they come due against the cap. Just need players that do the right thing and not force getting cut. Yes. And, is there anybody who says something that Brad Holmes has done has really been egregiously wrong for the franchise? The draft, I think we all get. He's the master person in the draft along with the scouting department. As far as free agency, I mean, I don't think we've knocked it out of the park with free agency, but I don't think we've done bad either. Some guys, hey, CJ Gardner-Johnson got hurt. It happens. It's football. Injuries are going to happen. Manuel Mosley, it's unfortunate. And probably nobody foresaw him playing 2 snaps before tearing his other ACL. But other than that, I think you're right, Moonscar. Brad Holmes has done very well, and he does seem to be balancing things incredibly well as far as this franchise and where we're going with things. Jason, sweet background, 100%. I figured this would be better than the cabin because the cabin's pretty small and pretty tight. Plus, Jen's doing her videos. She probably doesn't want to listen to me talk to you guys while shooting hers because that doesn't probably work out too well. All right, or Robert G. That's what I said at Bo. There we go. All right. Detroit D. We got Grace Sanitations back at you. Hopefully having a good one, my friend, as always. Did I lose the feed? There we go. All right, lost it for a second. And again, I apologize if the feed goes out from time to time. It's just something I can't control, guys. All right, John, what do you got? This is a good question. Of Hooker, our future quarterback, and do we keep JMO over St. Brown? Or do you keep both? Can you keep both? Man, John, that's a great question. If we don't keep St. Brown, does that mean that we're all in on Jameson Williams and that the Lions front office feels like, hey, it's easier to replace a St. Brown than it is a Jameson Williams? Man, that is a good question, John. I don't know. I think, St. Brown is so tough, so durable, so, just wired the way you want one of our players to be wired. Well, but JMO, I think there's real potential this upcoming season. He might just put up some off the charts numbers, and he does have stuff that you just can't teach as far as the speed and abilities. That also being said, he is, I'm not going to say injury prone, but he's a little bit more of a question mark. So let's see what happens over time. But I think to your point, though, it's going to be tough to re-sign them both because they're both going to get paid at some point. And then you're going to have to repay Laporta at some point. But the good thing is they are staggered where they're not all coming up at the same year. All right. Let's see, Robert. Oops, hold on, Robert. All right. That would be pretty dumb to let them go. Not thinking that will happen. Yeah, I'm with you. Like I've said, I'm leaning that I'm going to guess and believe that we're going to retain both guys. I don't see either one of them leaving. That being said, I mean, just listen to what we just talked about. At some point, you're going to have to pay St. Brown. You're going to have to pay Jameson Williams. You're going to have to pay Sam Laporta, Gibbs, and that's just one side of the ball. That's not even the other side of the ball. So we're not going to be able to retain everybody. If I'm Brad Holmes, I'm constantly looking for ways to shave some money so I can retain this guy or that guy or whatever. It's the unfortunate part of our success is that sooner versus later, you're going to have to pay these guys. And but I'm with you. I don't see either one of them departing Detroit, especially St. Brown. Goff, the only way I see that happening is if the coaching staff this summer and this year just look at Hendon Hooker and say, man, he is just so much further above Goff. And the only way we're ever going to know that is once we see him play. All right, Pierce, Goff and St. Brown not going anywhere. I would concur with that 100%. Hopefully, having a great morning, Pierce. All right, Miles, that mic looks like it's carries some good home brew. Just unscrew the top. There you go, man. Yeah, when I started the channel or whatever, I got this one, and yeah, it seems to be fine. I don't know much about the equipment other than I can tell you things seem to be working fine. Dr. Troy, pay the damn man. Yeah, I'm going to guess they're both going to get paid quite a bit, and they're going to be happy to remain in Detroit. Seems like more and more of the coaches, the players, and even players that are in free agency that are considering teams, they're all pretty impressed with Detroit. They all want to be here. It's not like it was 5-10 years ago or 20 years ago where players just didn't want to come and be a part of this organization. Now they do, and you know what? That's good, man. Just it's good for everybody to have this franchise be recognizable and be a destination versus kind of, I can't get hired anywhere else. I'm going to go to Detroit. All right. What do you got? Polar Bear. I was wondering why Cam Sutton would have went to Allen Park if he was in trouble, question mark. Did he want to say goodbye to a trainer, question mark? Did he have something in his locker? Whew. I don't know, man. I mean, it's a fair question, Polar Bear. And I'm just going to say this. Sometimes, maybe moments in time in people's lives, they just don't always make the best choices. I mean, you guys heard me say it before. I know that I haven't always made the best choices in my life. And I can look back to things I did, 2-3 years ago and said, man, that was probably not the wisest decision, let alone when I was in my 20s. Even though 29, you're not a kid, doesn't mean you're not, human anymore. But it would be a great question, Polar Bear, to find out what brought him here. Did he just think this would all go away on its own? I mean, who knows, man? Only he's going to be able to answer that one. Sorry for venting, Dan. Gary, no worries, man. If there's something you vented on, man, in the comments, maybe I missed it, man, but I don't remember seeing anything, but go ahead and let me know, man. Sorry if I missed it. All right, Ken, good morning, coach and all. Back at you, Ken. Hope family, great one. All right, Anthony, for all those who have ordered your Duke Crew t-shirts, orders are in pickup Friday. I'll have them mailed out Saturday. I want to say thank you all for your support, exclamation point. And Anthony, again, I know I've said this before, but I'll keep saying it, man. You're great at what you do. Thanks for helping out, man. I really appreciate it. And thank you again from the bottom of my heart, man. All right, moving on down here. All right, let's see. Detroit D. The contract won't look bad after Jefferson signs a market-setting deal. Yeah, and maybe that's one of the reasons why the Lions or St. Brown haven't signed anything yet. Maybe they're waiting to see the numbers for Justin Jefferson's contract, see where that takes things and how that elevates things. I'm with you, though. If I'm Detroit, I'm probably trying to sign St. Brown sooner versus later, just because every one of the elite receivers that signs is going to push his contract up. I mean, we all get that. That's just how things work. And we'll see what happens, man. All right, Mike the Marine, what do you got? Is Amon-Ra the Lion King? He might be, man. I mean, he is everything you want this franchise to be. And you know what? He's not a problem. He's not going to cause any issues. At least we'd all be caught off guard if he did something off the field that caused issues. And you can see how we've built this team, or how the front office built this team, the type of people they're focusing on signing, drafting. And you know what? He is a Lion through and through. All right, Matthew, greetings and salutations. Back at you. Hopefully having a great one. All right, scrolling on down without a mouse, so hold on. I'm Goff Slappy, so also I'm a Ross Slappy. Just for kicks, how about trading them as a matched set? Do those kind of trades ever occur? Boy, man, Miles, I can't really remember something like that happening. It doesn't mean it hasn't happened. If it's happened, it's been a long time since. It's not really coming to the top of my noggin. Man, what would you get if you sent both of them together to a team? Man, I don't know if you'd be able to get sound return, because I'm thinking you're going to want at least in this scenario 2 firsts and probably a bunch of other stuff. So like some thirds, some fourths, probably some seconds. Yeah, some franchise would have to be all in on those 2 guys. And not saying somebody won it, but it's an interesting question, man. I'm just not sure if I would be able to accurately predict the trade value for both of them, because you're gonna have to pay them both too if you're in the new franchise. All right, John, that is a good question. Is Hooker our future? Do we keep JMO over St. Brown now that we are good? We are going to lose good players. Yeah, just so to your point, John. Look at this season when we have to cut down to the 53-man roster. There are going to be a lot of good players that other teams are going to snatch up that are going to be cut from Detroit Lions. And again, guys, nothing I can do about the background, so apologies. Hopefully it's not blinding anyone. But yeah, you're going to see good players get cut from the team. Now, to your point, in the future, if you're paying Goff big money, plus that offensive line, plus St. Brown, and now you add JMO to it among, at some point, Laporta, I just don't see where the math works out where you can retain all those guys, especially just on one side of the ball. Maybe they do. Maybe they just keep relying on drafting, lower cost guys for defense and saying, hey, go with it any way we can. And I don't know. It's a good thing we got another year or two before we really get in the crunch when it comes to the financials. All right, Matthew, what do you got? Good morning, everyone. Back at you. Hopefully I'm having an outstanding morning, my friend. All right, let me scroll down here. All right, Robert, let's see. Saint is our modern day Barry Sanders, exclamation points. He will be a Lion for a long time to come. I would agree with that. I really don't see a way that he would leave Detroit unless, I guess, maybe the contract demands are just too high. I don't get the sense with St. Brown that's going to be the case, but who knows, man? Maybe his representation says, nah, we're getting 30 to 35 million a year, and the Lions just can't invest that in him. Maybe that situation arises, but I'm going to go ahead and think that both sides will work out something. It's probably just going to be like June or July when it happens. Southwest Line, hey, Dan, thoughts and prayers to you and your family. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. And yeah, not looking forward to Friday when I really get back. It'll be good to see my family and everything and my mom. But I feel for everybody, especially my mom right now. All right, Chan, we got if you're stopping in Haiti, steer clear of the Hannibal named barbecue. Yeah, I don't think we're stopping there. I'm trying to remember the next port, but I don't know. Jen's got it on the map. We'll stop there, and then we head back to Florida. All right, Gary, St. Brown stays here. He's what you want as a Lion. I would agree. I think he is Captain Lion. He's Mr. Lion or whatever you want to say. I don't see a scenario where he leaves. I can see scenarios where Goff, maybe gets moved on from. Just St. Brown doesn't seem to be in the same situation there. And the only way, again, that we move off Goff is if just Hendon Hooker just is, I think, leaps and bounds ahead of Goff. But we'll see what happens. All will be revealed in time, right? All right, Tyler, trying to get it to come up here. All right, come on. How did I freeze? Come on. All right. Well, having a little bit of a problem here. All right. Come on. There we go. Hey, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. Praying for you and your family. How do you feel about trading a 3 and 7 rounds for Newsome? Newsome 2? I'd be all for it. To be honest, I think the guy can really play well, and he's a good size outside corner who's physical, which is, I think, more what this regime wants the defense to be. They want the corners to be physical in your face. If you beat us long, sometimes so be it, but we're coming after the quarterback, and we're going to make you throw into tight windows against man-to-man coverage more often than not. So, yeah, if the Browns want to unload him for a 3rd and a 7th, I'd probably say okay. I'd probably try to push for us getting at least 1 7 back, but that wouldn't make sense then if we're giving up a 7. But I guess the short answer is, I would make it happen if we could make it happen. All right, Matthew. All right, hold on. There we go. All right, Goff, no more than 2-year deal. Hendon needs to sit at least 1 more year. St. Brown needs to sign, but not top money, but to give him incentives that give him top money. And that could be the way they go with St. Brown is, hey, you got to keep putting up to get the elite level money for sure. I'll see what happens with that. Goff, maybe you're right. Maybe they just sign him for 2 years. But my only question is, if you do it at that point, what's the value to Hendon Hooker? Because I want to say he's got 3 years left on his deal, so you basically be banking on 1 year of cheap contract before you're going to have to sign Hendon Hooker to a new deal. I don't know, man. It's a tough situation to be in. It's the price of success and being good at drafting players and winning on the field. And yeah, every franchise that is strong has to face it at some point. All right, let's see. Gary, I believe St. Brown will show his loyalty to the Lions drafting him. It could be, man. Yeah, maybe he takes a little bit of a hometown discount. It just comes down to how big of a discount is that, I think. And maybe Goff does the same thing because he doesn't want to go to another franchise. All have to come out in time. Robert, what are you thinking about the new uniform unveil soon? Is what it is. I probably won't pay a ton of attention to it just because, to me, it's almost not news. It doesn't really impact the team. It's, style, finesse. It's, great for marketing and sales because, people are going to want to buy new products, especially if they like it. And plus, the team is successful. But for me, it's just not something I'll jump into. I'll defer to your wisdom on that, Robert. All right, Polar Bear. Goff gets whatever he wants, so he will get Amon-Ra St. Brown. I have used the Rams cap as a comparison, and the Lions can pay him and still retain all their top drafted players. There you go. And let's hope they get it done, man, because I really don't want to see either one of them leave. Southwest, is cap calculated based on total value of contracts or just guaranteed money? Question mark. If total value of contracts offer core players like Goff and St. Brown more guaranteed money, a lower total value. So it's the equivalent of the contracts combined, I guess is what I can say, Southwest. There's obviously ways around the cap number. A lot of teams do it to a certain degree by offsetting numbers for later years and bringing other values on other contracts up to earlier years. But in a nutshell, yeah, it's the total accumulation. All right, Gary, do you think Hooker? If you think Hooker's the future, give Goff 2 years at $40 million with an option of second. Okay, go with that. Again, I think the one issue you'll run into with that, if you think Hooker's the issue, is if you extend Goff for 2 years, then there's at the end of that there's 1 year remaining on Hooker's rookie contract. So I think at that point you got 1 year of cheap quarterback play from the rookie. Not saying they want to do it. It just obviously every year that passes by, there's less value to doing something for just the savings cap for that particular year or 2 years. All right, Hatman, good morning, Dan, Dew Crew, back at you, my friend. Hopefully you're on a great morning. Ken, Goff is said to be an astute businessman. He may opt to take the franchise tag and maximize his cash for 1 or even 2 years. It could happen, man. Yeah, and he would get a little bit more for that 1 or 2 years, as you point out. And maybe that's the way the Lions go. Maybe they say, hey, we need to give Hendon Hooker 1 more year to develop. Let him play out this contract. Well, maybe let's reevaluate. Maybe Hooker needs another year. Maybe we need to, go after another quarterback. Yeah, they've got options, and definitely they hold all the cards, I guess you could say, because if they don't want to re-sign Goff to anything long term, they don't have to. They can just pay him a shorter contract, this year's contract, and then have the option to franchise him if they so desire. All right, Broski. Good morning to you too, by the way. Let's see. Lions will pay Goff and not St. Brown. After Goff gets paid, it's going to be difficult to afford other big contracts. This is St. Brown's farewell tour. I hope not, man, but you could be right, man. Like we've been talking about all morning. The tough part with whatever way you want to go, keep St. Brown, not Goff. Keep Goff, not St. Brown. Keep them both. Move on from both. Is you just can't keep everybody on the team. There's just so many good, talented players on this team. Some of them are going to get paid, whether it's by this team or a different team, and that's where you have to make your choices which way you want to go. All right, Hatman, I want pictures of you swimming with the sharks. Yeah, well, unfortunately, Hatman, I cannot swim. So true story. I can, I get in pools and stuff like that. I can maybe swim from one side of the pool to the other, but I just can't tread water. I